this club. I'm not defensive about it.
Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to an emergency meeting. Big up to everyone that's locked in. Smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all that good stuff. Get your thoughts in the chat. I don't know where to begin, people. I do not know where to begin. Humiliated on the biggest stage. Toyed with. Embarrassed. Biggest golfing class imaginable. Chelsea as we know it no longer exists. That for me was the night that Chelsea died. And whatever we are now is not the club. Whatever we are right now is not the club. There are so many things wrong. So many things wrong. Joe Cole said it himself. Many others have said it. We are a million miles away from being anything serious. Anything serious at all. A million miles away from it. We're nowhere near. Liam Rosenior, completely out of his depth, nowhere near good enough. But the recruitment, a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. 5 years ago, we won the Champions League. 5 years ago, we were champions of Europe. Now we're a team that is not even good enough to finish in the top 5. Now we're a team who are battling to finish 5th or 6th in the Premier League. 5th or 6th in the Premier League. £1.5 billion spent. Absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. But this is what happens. This is what happens. When you hire dross, expect dross. PSG are a club that Chelsea want to be like, are a club that Chelsea would like to emulate. What did they do? Got one of the best managers in world football in Luis Enrique. Got a best-in-class sporting director in Luis Campos. Actually signed the best young players in world football. Not Gittins, Garnacho, Delap, all these useless players. All these useless players. Do you know what the mad thing is as well? Do you know what the mad thing is? PSG have got a younger team than us. They just signed proper footballers and top players. Top players. Look at the bench. First leg, they were bringing on Kvaratskhelia. Second leg, they're bringing on Doués. What are we doing? We're bringing on Garnachos and Delaps. Useless. Absolutely useless. How on earth are we meant to compete when that's the gap in class? £1.5 billion spent, nearly 4 years in. The amount of damage that has been done to this football club in the space of 5 years is incredible. Absolutely incredible. We were humiliated. This last week has been absolute humiliation. Slapped by PSG twice. Lost to Newcastle at home. I didn't think we could plunge to new lows, but we have. We have hit an all-time low. And the scary thing is, I don't even think this is the worst of it. I don't even think this is the worst of it. I think there's more to come. I think there'll be even more lows than this. More lows than this. Look, we could finish in the top 5. We could, because Aston Villa and Liverpool are equally shocking. But we wouldn't get top 5 on merit. We would be scamming top 5. And realistically, what difference does it make if we're in the Champions League? What difference does it make? They've already shown it makes no difference to what they do in the transfer market. Last summer, the players that we signed in the window we could have done that with Conference League football. We could have done that with Europa League football. Champions League is meant to be a step up in class, a step up in quality, going for better players. Instead, we're just signing such average players. The regression in the space of 5 years is incredible. Absolutely incredible. When you look at the money we've spent and you look at what you've got for it, you've got Liam Rosenior in the dugout. You've got a team that's got some good footballers in it. But let's be honest, you've got a team that is absolutely diabolical. There's a culture at Chelsea now which is rotten, absolutely rotten to the core. We have an organisation who are unwilling to rectify mistakes they're making. They're unwilling to instill any level of accountability. And they're unwilling, or even worse, incapable of putting into action the steps that are necessary to try and right the wrongs and maybe turn this round. We've got directors in the club telling us that it's effing obvious we're building the best team in the world. There's a lot of things that are obvious about Chelsea. Building the best team in the world is not one of them. This is 4 years. We're 4 years in now. And we are absolutely terrible. People talk about Enzo Maresca, right? Enzo Maresca is a million miles better than Liam Rosenior will ever be. There was a reason why Maresca was so rigid with his system and his tactics and didn't allow these players the freedom. Because look what's happened when these players have been given freedom. Look what's happened. They're all over the place. They are absolutely dreadful. Maresca is a top-level tactician. He's an elite-level tactician. He was setting up this team to play to its strengths. And he was masking the weaknesses with the way that he set up. The way that Rosenior sets up is exposing all the weaknesses of this team, all of them. They're being exposed. Enzo Maresca may well have got knocked out by PSG. We do not get humiliated in both legs like that. We do not get... Bro, Assad, you're talking about one game. We lost to Bayern Munich. You're talking about one game. What's your point here? We lost 3-1 to Bayern Munich. We had a bad game. What's your point? Rosenior's useless. But we also have to accept that really Rosenior is woefully out of his depth, is nowhere near the level required. But you've got to look past that and direct the anger at the right people. It's really sad to see how the culture of this football club has just been eroded away over the last 4 years. It's been eroded away. You know, you're in a situation now where those 2 legs against PSG, the level we produced was beyond unacceptable. So far beyond unacceptable for a club of Chelsea's stature. We just waved the white flag. We waved the white flag. How do you spend 1.5 billion on a team and it still needs reinforcements in attack, reinforcements in midfield, reinforcements in defence, and we still need reinforcements at goalkeeper? How can you spend that much money and need reinforcements in every single position on the football pitch? The gross negligence, the ineptitude at the top level of this football club is scary. And what's even more scary is they think what they're doing is working. That's even more scary right now. They think what they're doing is working. How can you watch that and think, yeah, do you know what? This is definitely working. And look, at the end of the day, whose wonderful idea was it to parachute in a woefully inadequate manager into the Chelsea war zone to take on a side that has got no depth and lacks discipline? What could possibly go wrong there? What could possibly go wrong with that scenario? There's literally, we could have all seen this coming from a mile off. And there are so many hallmarks with Liam Rosenior and Graham Potter in terms of decent start, then started overcomplicating things, now getting awful results. For me, it's clear these players don't respect him. These players aren't buying into what he's trying to get across. You had Malo Gusto questioning the tactics after the first leg. You had Enzo Fernandez questioning the approach after the second leg. Liam Rosenior, nice guy. Sure. Might have a good career. You are woefully out of your depth at this football club. I understand, of course, you're going to take the job. No problem. And he's an easy scapegoat. Of course he is. But at the end of the day, really, it's the fault of the people who put him here. The anger's got to be towards the woefully incompetent sporting directors. What we put out last night is 4 years worth of squad building. And PSG built a way better side in half the time with less expenditure. How's that possible? How is that possible? It just doesn't make sense. Bro, this is the point. Genuinely, why as fans should we care about whether we get Champions League? Because we're not serious to compete for Champions League. All we're going to do is get through the league phase and then just get bopped off the park and sent packing in the round of 16, or maybe we might scrape a quarter final. What's the point? Genuinely, what's the point? Because right now, we're not in the Champions League to win it. We're just making the numbers up. So why should we bother? Why should we be bothered about qualifying for the Champions League when no one at the club cares about it? No one at the club cares about it. What difference does it make? Why should any of us, myself or anyone in the chat, care if we get Champions League football? Because it makes no difference. Because we're not signing better players. We're not pushing forward to try and compete in these competitions. We're merely just making up the numbers. So genuinely, what is the point? Genuinely, what's the point? Big up to you, brother. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, mate, it was dark times. Dark times it is. I genuinely didn't think a new low was possible, but a new low is possible, and we've reached it. Yep. Big up to Top Dog for the super chat. Appreciate you, brother. Do you honestly think Blueco will just pack up and leave? No, they won't. They won't. And so, as we've seen with the likes of Man United, Arsenal with the Cronkies in the past, you are fighting an impossible battle to get the ownership out. I can't think of a single example in history where a club's fan base have forced the ownership to sell. I can't think of a single example. It's not. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're fighting a losing battle. You've got to vote with your feet in terms of leaving the ground early, planning walkouts, do things like Strasbourg have done. Everyone leaves a game 15 minutes early, or nobody takes their seats until after the first 15 minutes of the game. Things like that. I know a mass walkout wasn't planned last night, but with the way that it panned out, it's good. I don't like to say this, but I'm glad that we got humiliated. I'm glad we were embarrassed and we were dog walked on the biggest stage of them all, right in front of Egbarley's very eyes. And if that doesn't instigate some form of change or some sort of acknowledgement that we need to that we need to change things, that these lot need to switch up what they're doing, then I don't know what will. I genuinely don't know what will. Because if you're sitting and watching us get played off the park, if you're sitting and watching that and you think it's fine, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Let me just grab these other supers. Matt, big ups to you, bro. I appreciate it. Very kind. I will jump on again soon, bro. I definitely will. Maybe over the international break when we got more time. Yep. Yeah. No, bro, it's bad. It's bad. And the worrying thing for me is that it looks like the players didn't care. Now, I'm not. I don't want to put those kind of accusations out there, but from the evidence last night, that wasn't the performance from a team or players that looked like they cared. That wasn't the performance from people that looked like they cared. We were just going through the motions. It just looked like we didn't want to be there. You know, you expect a reaction from the first leg. You don't get it against Newcastle. You expect a reaction from the Newcastle game. You don't get it. What are we going to get a reaction at Everton? I doubt it. I think these players will start checking out soon. The World Cup's coming up in the summer, end of the season. Yeah, I think this will start checking out. I really do. I really do. So, yeah. As I said, the scary thing is, guys, I don't think this is the lowest of the low. There'll be bigger lows than this. Big up to you, Zach. Burnley wanted superstars. He got Koulibaly and Sterling, but Clear Lake wanted young talents. Yeah, do you know what's mad, right? Is that Bowley summer window is still one of our best summer, is better than the last two windows, than the last two summers. That Bowley summer is better than the last two summers, and he openly admitted he had no idea what he was doing, and he just copied what other clubs were doing. If Man City want Correa, I want him. And the damning thing is that strategy is actually better than the strategy that we currently employ. It's quite incredible, chat. It's quite incredible that Bowley summer, where he openly admitted he's got no idea what he's doing, has been better than the last two windows we've had. Right, guys, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the chat. No, and I don't blame him. And I don't blame him. And look, what I would say is that the timing of that is not great. When you've just been embarrassed in the Champions League, to come out and say that is not ideal. But he's just saying what I think a number of players are thinking right now. A number of players are thinking, we're literally making no progress. We've been sold an absolute lie. We're nowhere closer to challenging for major honours. We still don't have a complete squad. The squad is average. He won't be the only one thinking that. These players talk to each other. These players are friends. They get on. But I genuinely think this lot are so committed to this model. They're so far down the road with this model. There's no going back for them. They're weak, spineless individuals. Instead of accepting they were wrong, they would correct the course of action. They'd rather double down and stick with it. The fact is, Thomas Tuchel, who was there last night, he cares more about this football club still than anyone associated with it right now. Than anybody associated with it right now. That's just simply not true. Like this idea that one player is at fault for everything is just so stupid. Like the idea, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, this player's at fault. It's a one yeah, it's the fault of one player. Come on, like guys, we're better than that. It's just such poor, unintelligent analysis to suggest that it's the fault of one player. And Enzo Maresca's not God, but I'm telling you now, those of you that wanted Maresca out, be careful what you wished for, because now look what you've got. You've got something considerably worse. Considerably worse. You've got a manager who's got no idea how to set a team up. Defensively, we're a shambles. The pressing is awful. Yeah, what this new style of pressing that he talks about, yeah, depressing. That's what it is. That's the new style of pressing he's instilled. Depressing. It's a collective mess. Big up to you again, brother, coming through the super chat. Enzo's just the start, mate. The likes of Caicedo, Palmer. I don't think James will, but yeah, look, for me, Enzo Fernandez is absolutely just the start of this situation right now. There will be many, many more to follow. You can guarantee, right, if Enzo's saying that I think there's at least 2, 3, or 4 others who are thinking the same thing, who are absolutely thinking the same thing. No, I don't believe so. Yeah, and this is another worrying thing, right? Is the messages coming out from the decision makers at the club that they think everything's fine, that they think what they're doing is good and what they're doing is working. I was absolutely delighted that we won the Club World Cup, as we all were as fans. But I think 2 things can be true. Fantastic to win it, but it's also been a blessing and a curse. It could be one of the best things to happen and one of the worst things to happen as well. The 2 things can absolutely coexist. The 2 things can absolutely coexist. And I think, yeah, we're now paying the price for that, because that allowed them to think that the squad was better than what it was, and it allowed them to think that what they were doing was working. But the reality is, we achieved in spite of the squad, not because of it. That's the reality. Look, to be honest, we could finish as low as 8th. I've genuinely got no idea where we're going to finish. We could finish 4th. We could finish 8th. I've got no idea. But right now, with the way that we're playing, I can't see where a win's coming from at this point in time. I cannot see where a win's coming from. Confidence is so low. This is the thing, right? People have got this thing where they think they're better than everyone else because they said something first, because they were first to it. Look, if people don't want to give anything a chance before it's even happened, fine, no problem. But for me, the moment we didn't push on from that Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo, those kind of win, for the moment we didn't push on from summer 23 was the moment that I changed my mind, that I was not on this anymore. It doesn't matter if you were out, if you were skeptical of it from day one, or whether you've taken a couple of years or whatever it might be. Why does it matter who was first? Why does that matter? Ultimately, right now, it's very difficult to get Chelsea fans to be in agreement on one thing. But everybody is united, or the vast majority. The vast majority are done with this ownership. They are done. And you know what's mad, right? Is that Enzo Maresca has not managed a game of football since December, and his stock is higher than ever. His stock is higher than ever. Him walking away from Chelsea is probably what it could be one of the best things for his career. Genuinely. Could be one of the best things for his career. All Rossini had to do was follow the blueprint. Follow the blueprint that Maresca had laid out. Instead, he tried to be clever. Do silly little things. Well, with 3 goals down, he went with a back 5, Neto at wing back, a back 3 of Sarr, Chalobah, and Hatto when we're chasing a 3-goal deficit. And within 5 minutes, Sarr's made an absolute howler and we're a goal down. We're 2 goals down in 14 minutes playing a back 5. His tactics are just genuinely awful. And I actually feel sorry for him. I'm not going to waste energy. I'm not going to waste energy on the manager. We all know he's woefully out of his depth. We all know he's not good enough. We all know he shouldn't be here. We all know his tactics are awful. And we all know that the football he's playing is garbage. But we need to be directing the anger above that. Above that. The manager's useless. The manager's useless, but he is the least of the issues. Well, I say the least of the issues. He is not the chronic issue at this football club. The chronic issue at this football club is the ownership. And I don't know what we do to try and get through to these guys. Because these guys aren't asked. They don't care. They genuinely don't care. I'm talking about the tactical blueprint. The tactical blueprint. The reason why Maresca gave these players no freedom is because they didn't deserve it. Look what happens when these players are given a bit of freedom, where Rossini has sacrificed that control, that defensive stability we had to give attacking players more freedom. Look how easy we are to play against now. Look how easily we get cut through. Look how many goals we're conceding. Maresca was rigid, and he was rigid for a reason, because these players aren't good enough to be allowed to play with the freedom that they want. Not good enough. Maresca coached this team and set this team up in a way to hide the weaknesses as best as he possibly could. Rossini sets up, the way that Rossini sets up and the tactics that Rossini uses expose all the weaknesses of this team. The complete opposite of Maresca. Nobody can tell me that anything Liam Rossini has done is better than Enzo Maresca. There's not a single thing. Not a single thing. Yeah, of course, every manager's going to lose games. Every manager's going to lose games. Every manager's going to lose games. But ultimately, what it comes down to is that Chelsea are not run or set up to win. PSG are run to win. That's the difference. This football club is not run to win. It's business first, football second. And when that happens, that's why you get the results that you're getting. Because the most important thing is business for these people. I don't know if Chelsea's making money or not. I've got no idea. I don't care. What I care about is how we turn around this absurdity on the football pitch. We could beat Everton on Saturday. We could. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. But what I am saying is, this is yet another season where we're going to win nothing and we might scrape a top 5 finish on the final day of the season. How is that progress? It's regression in every sense of the word. It is complete and utter regression. How is there any progress on anything that we're doing right now? There isn't any progress in what we're doing. Let me bring these other super chats up. Big up to Top Dog again. Enzo, oh, we've done that. Was there another one? No, I've done them all. I think I've done them all. Oh, no, I haven't done them all. It's this one. Rossini embodies everything that this club is now. That's why he was hired. Arrogant and think they're elite with absolutely nothing to back it up. Yeah, I hear it. I absolutely hear it. But you know what the mad thing is, right? If he goes, and I think he will go, probably at the end of the season in the summer, the people that chose him and appointed him and would have failed with their, fourth consecutive manager, they'll be allowed to sign more players and appoint the next guy. And ultimately, chat, we have to realise now that under this way of operating, we're not improving. We're only going to get worse. We're only going to get worse. So instead of looking above us in the table, we need to be looking beneath us. We need to be looking beneath us at the likes of Brentford, Everton, Newcastle. That's what we need to be doing. We are just so fortunate that Liverpool and Aston Villa are equally as awful as we are. Equally as awful. Because we're 3 points ahead of Brentford, 5 points ahead of Everton, 6 points ahead of Newcastle. So we're 6 points above ninth. And we've still got to play Everton. We've still got to play United and City and Liverpool. And we go to Brighton away and Sunderland away. These are not easy games. I'm not even thinking about finishing in the top 4 or 5. Not even thinking about finishing in the top 4 or 5. Because we're going to have to be looking behind us. But there's just such a sheer level of incompetence from the ownership and the directors. How can you have just misspent so much money? You know, you look at the signings of these players, and you talk about Chelsea signing the best young talent in world football, but we're not. I've got no issue with signing young players. No problem. My problem is buying shit young players. PSG bought Kvaratskhelia. We bought Garnacho. They signed Barcola and Doués. We bought Netos and Gittins. That's the difference here. There's genuinely, I think you've got to realise, right, when you're in for a player and no one else really wants them, there's probably a reason for that. There's probably a reason for that. There's a reason why no one else wanted Gittins. There's a reason why no one else wanted Garnacho. And it's not because they're unbelievable footballers and we're onto something that no other club can see. It's because they're average. It's because they're not good enough. It's because they're not going to make a difference. Every so often, you'll find a top player that maybe no other club's interested in. But when your top targets, no one else wants them. That should be an alarming indication to you that actually, do you know what? These guys aren't that great. These guys aren't actually that great. And maybe we should be looking at different targets. Yes, mate, big up to you. Hope you're doing well, bro. Yesterday was a clear reminder that we can't compete. No, we can't. But this is the thing. We can't compete on the pitch and we can't compete off the pitch. And the reality is that until we start competing off the pitch, we won't compete on the pitch. Nasser El Khalifi, miles clear of Egbali and co. Luis Campos, unbelievable. Luis Enrique, unbelievable. Like it's not about not spending money. These guys have spent money. I'm not criticizing this lot for not spending money, but I'm struggling to think of a worse use of money in modern football. I'm struggling to think of a worse use of money. And in the summer, we need another rebuild. We need another rebuild in the summer. We've got to revamp. We've got to revamp the entire team almost. But bro, it doesn't matter if United drop points. It doesn't matter because we've got to we can't do our job. It's totally irrelevant. And this is where we're at right now. Is we've got to stop thinking about what United are doing or what other teams are doing. It's completely irrelevant what other teams are doing because we've actually got to pick our points up, and we're not doing our job. So we're not doing our job. Therefore, we need to forget about what anyone else is doing. But ultimately, unless we completely revamp the centre-backs this summer, amongst many other things that need to be sorted out, we're going to continue to struggle. Every top side is built around a solid defence and goalkeeper. And despite Sanchez's improvements, our goalkeeper and centre-backs are simply nowhere near the level required. They're nowhere near good enough. They're nowhere near good enough. And then this is the thing, I despise Man United, but they actually made signings that make a difference. Sesko miles better than Delap. Cunha and Mbeumo, good, proven Premier League players. Much better than anything we've got. And so it's no surprise that with United making that caliber of signing, that type of signing in the attack, that they've improved. No surprise whatsoever that they've suddenly improved. And it's not hard. It really isn't rocket science. Sign good players, get better at football. Sign crap players, get worse. It's really not hard. Really, really not difficult. Yeah, we're past that point now. We all know, like, no one's going to be gaslit or convinced about anything that they've got to say. Chat, we're over 230 in the building. Only 112 likes. Keep smashing that like button. Let's get this up to 200 likes, people. Smash the likes. Subscribe if you're new, by the way, as well. Subscribe if you are new. And Kevin Bassey, no. Calvin Bassey, I don't know. I just don't think he's in it. Like, it's just not the levels that we need. We need a lot more. Now, the centre back market's difficult, but for me, Chelsea, if they were serious, need to be going and signing someone like a Nico Schlotterbeck, for example. Go and sign Schlotterbeck from Dortmund and go and get, I don't know, I mean, look, people talk about Bastoni, but, you go and get a Schlotterbeck or you go and get a Bastoni, whatever it might be. But you've got to go out there and you have to go and get 2 starting quality centre-backs, top class, and most importantly, with leadership qualities. They are top leaders. That's the most important thing. Obviously, they've got to be decent players, but they've got to be leaders. They've got to be warriors. Yes, Fulham, not Chelsea. Big up to you, mate. How you doing? Well, brother. Yeah, he probably will be. He probably will be. It'll probably revert to tossing and fuck knows. It'll be tossing and Fofana, probably. Unless he decides to keep faith with Sarr. I said, you've got to stop doing this nonsense individual game analysis. Mark Gurley's better than all our centre backs. I was saying it all summer, and I was saying it in January. We should have signed Mark Gurley. Mark Gurley's better than everything we've got. But you're doing this thing that you do where you pick out one game where someone didn't have a good game and use that as and use that to try and make out they're not good. Bro, we can pick out games for every single player where they weren't good. We can pick out games for every player where they weren't good. You know, what are we doing here? Yeah, I would take Murillo. Murillo would be a good signing. You know, the Murillo would be a good signing. Look, for me in the summer, if we could sign Murillo and Schlotterbeck, fantastic. I think we know that is highly unlikely to happen. But we do need whatever we said about the Champions League and whether it actually makes any difference to what this lot do, and the evidence suggests that it doesn't. We need that because we're going to keep the core of this squad, your Enzos, your Caicedos, your Palmers, and whatnot. You need to give them Champions League football. And obviously, if we miss out on the Champions League, then because of these performance incentivized contracts, these players are not going to get they're not going to get their bonuses. They're not going to get their bonuses because the performance, if you don't get in the Champions League, this lot are going to miss out on their bonuses. And that could present a big problem, chat. That could present us with a major issue. You know, the whole project's been built around this wage structure and being on low base salary and then getting your big bonuses for getting into the Champions League, winning trophies, etc. But, you know, the vast majority of these players at Chelsea are on significantly less money than players at rival clubs. And if they don't get their bonuses and shit, they may very well be looking to go elsewhere. They may very well be looking to go elsewhere, chat. Yeah, but the thing is, though, bro, the other issue we're going to have is that if a number of top clubs want these players, I'll be real, we're not attractive. We're not an attractive proposition. If you're a player and you've got a choice of joining Chelsea, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, or whatever, they're not picking Chelsea. Like a few might pick Chelsea, but generally speaking, not many are going to pick Chelsea. Not many are going to pick Chelsea. And that's the next problem we're going to have. When you don't have Champions League football and you're trying to compete with these clubs, you're going to be finished. Big up to you. Hope you're doing well, bro. I personally think we can grab Lunin from Madrid and get. But bro, is Lunin even good enough for us? Look, Schlotterbeck and Murillo, like that's the caliber of centre back you've got to be going for. Schlotterbecks and Murillos, but we'll end up with some player that no one's ever heard of. We'll end up with a player someone's never heard of. Big up to you again, brother. Is it any surprise the players don't believe in Rossini when we can see 3 goals per game minimum? Yep, and this is it. This is it. You look at, and people were praising Rossini because we were better in attack. These players had more freedom and stuff. Or they got the shackles taken off them. There's a reason why they were shackled, and you're seeing why. Because we're so open. We concede so many goals. We completely lack control in games. And it is exactly like Pochettino. It's chaos and it's basketball football. You're exactly right, bro. It's exactly what it is. And when people criticize Enzo Maresca, there was a reason that he was doing what he was doing. There was a reason for it, because these players can't be trusted to be given freedom. These players cannot be trusted to be given freedom, chat. They can't be trusted. They cannot be trusted. Yep. I mean, look, Quenda, I don't mind Quenda coming, but Quenda is an issue when all your other wingers are young and shit. That's when it's a problem. Omega isn't better than anything we've got right now. Paez, I don't know what's happened to him. Sat Paez will probably go to Strasbourg on loan. But the point stands is that 2 signings coming in Quenda and Omega are nowhere near the level. They're not near the level. I'm not writing them off straight away, but they're not of the level required right now to go into the Chelsea squad. They're just simply not. So at this point, this summer's already looking pretty shite as well. It's already looking pretty shit. I hear it, bro. I hear it. No, they won't, bro. No top manager wants to come to this football club. I mean, look, I think we should be aiming and aspiring for better than that. But on a free, providing he wasn't the main centre back signing, Senesi on a free wouldn't be a disaster. But he can't be the only centre back signing, and there needs to be one who is considerably better than him. Bro, we should have got Luis Campos, but you got people like Luis Campos. Obviously we missed out on people like Hugo Viana, who was obviously at Sporting Lisbon before he went to Man City. There are top level sporting directors, but the one we should have got was Luis Campos. That was the guy. If you're going to employ this sort of project, then that is the guy that you should have got to do it. And this is the thing, right? When you don't know about football and whatnot, when you don't know about football and how it works and all this and all that, you need to employ the best people in class to take care of it. People like Monchi. Monchi was outstanding at Sporting Lisbon. He was at Sevilla. He was obviously good at Aston Villa. Andrea Berta, another one who's gone from Atletico Madrid, now at Arsenal, making a big difference. These are top sporting directors. You've got people like, there was, who was it at Leverkusen? Simon Rolfs at Leverkusen. There are loads of them. There are loads of them, chat. No, he's not. He's not shit, but he's not ready, and he's not good enough right now. Sarr could become good enough. Absolutely. I'm not disputing that. But Sarr is clearly not ready and not good enough right now. Well, we're going to have to go down. Yeah, I think YouTube seems fine to me. Yeah, Richard Hughes is a target of Al Hilal. They're looking to get him over as a new sporting director. Hughes is a good sporting director. Did a fantastic job at Bournemouth, and obviously did a good job at Liverpool. Certainly last season. This season, perhaps not so much. But again, Al Hilal, the Saudi riches. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you take that job? Why wouldn't you take that job? But there are a lot of good sporting directors out there, and there are numerous sporting directors out there who are way better than what we've got. Way better than what we've got. You know, but look at the difference. Arsenal got rid of Edu and bought in Andrea Berta, top class, top class sporting director. Look at the difference made there. Look at the difference made. These things all make a difference. Oh, well, I can't remember what his name was now. What was his name? I genuinely, I couldn't even tell you if he started or what he's doing. I genuinely couldn't tell you if he started. I genuinely couldn't tell you what he's doing. I've got no idea. I've genuinely got no idea who he is or what he's doing or what his name is. I genuinely don't know. Who was he? Who even was that guy? Paul Fellows or something? Was it Paul Fellows? Yeah, Paul Fellows. Or Dave Fallows. That's the one. Genuinely, who is he? Has anyone actually seen him? Has he started yet? Has he left already? There's just so many issues. Liam is not, and these people that are saying that Liam's a good coach, he's not a good coach. He's average. Enzo Maresca was the best asset that Clear Lake had, and he walked out on them. He was the best asset that Clear Lake had, and he walked out on the club because they refused to back him. They refused to back him. Refused to back him. How many managers need to ask for a centre back or need to ask to be backed before they actually get backed? Yeah, but that's right at the start. I mean, in terms of people they've employed, as in selected themselves. We had a good coach and they made him walk out, which created more issues, creating unnecessary issues for ourselves. Totally unnecessary issues being created for ourselves. Asad, you like Liam, that's fine, no problem. We all know that Rosenia is nowhere near Maresca's level. We're just so far off it. I genuinely don't know where we go, chap. I don't know where we go. Look, obviously, two things. Two things. One, timing poor. Like as the captain on the night after you've just been humiliated in the Champions League, probably not the best time to say that. Secondly, if you actually listen to the proper Spanish translation of it, it's nowhere near as bad as kind of what's been reported. Obviously, we know that he wants out. It's quite clear that, yes, he still obviously likes the club and will still give his all. I'm not surprised. I don't blame him. He's just said what probably a number of other players are thinking. And why would you? Why would you believe in what we're doing? Why would you believe that? You absolutely wouldn't believe that, would you? You absolutely would not believe that. And whether he goes or not in the summer, I've got no idea. What offers will come in for him? How much money do we want? No idea. But this will be the next thing. Players will start wanting out. Players will start wanting out. The players, by the way, the players do need to take responsibility themselves as well. They can't just serve up this crap on the pitch and then dip at the end of the season like it wasn't their fault also. You know, that's the weird thing about football is that players will be the reason, or are the guys on the pitch trying to get the results, and they don't get the results for a multitude of reasons. They'll just abandon ship. They'll just abandon ship. They'll just abandon ship. It's like the teams that get relegated. The players play diabolical football all season, and then they go down. Basically said he couldn't. Essentially, said he couldn't guarantee that he'd be here next season. There's still 8 games left. Then the World Cup. We'll see. Something along those lines. But I don't blame it. And this is the next thing that's going to happen, chat. This is going to be the next issue. is that if we miss out on Champions League, even if we do get Champions League football, players aren't going to want to be here. Players are not going to want to be here. It's that simple. So whilst getting Champions League, why should we care? Because it doesn't really make any difference. The difference it will make is whether our players actually want to stay here. But even then, even if we're getting Champions League football, we're not serious. We're not a team that's going to win the Champions League. We're not a team that's looking like we're going to compete for that. We're just in there to make the numbers up. And these players want to win these Champions Leagues. They want to play for the top teams. And we should be a top team because we're a massive football club. But we're run like complete and utter amateurs. Bro, we do. We need to do a Control-Alt-Delete, open task manager. Bro, we need to go to, what we need to do, we need to go on the iPhone. Other phones are available. Go to settings. We need to reset to factory settings. That's what we need to do. We need to reset to factory settings, chat. We need to reset to factory settings. That's what we need to do. You need to hold down that button on the back of the phone and we've got to reset to factory settings. Control-Alt-Delete. Get rid of the whole lot and start again. Because we actually can't continue like this. Because if we continue like this, the only way is down, down, down. The only way is down. We need a hard reset. Genuinely, other than James, Palmer, Caicedo, Colwell, João Pedro, maybe Esteval, there's genuinely maybe absolute push. There's 7 players I'd keep. The rest of them can all go. There's genuinely 7 players I'd keep. And then the rest, see you later. Not good enough. Genuinely. And this is the first time that I've actually been worried. This is the first time that I've actually been concerned that I don't know how we come back from this. I don't know how we improve because we can't improve doing what we're doing. That's the reality. And I know we know that Liam Rossini is not good enough and he needs to go and he shouldn't be here. Agreed. However, can you imagine? Can you imagine who these guys might turn to next, chat? Can you imagine who they might turn to next? Like that's the scary part. Who on earth would this lot turn to next? Who would this lot turn to next? Like genuinely. Who would they turn to next? That in itself is that's an awful thought. That is an awful, awful thought. Who are these lot going to turn to next if we do get them? And ultimately, we've been exposed. Chelsea are broken. Chelsea are broken. They've fully been exposed, chat. We've been fully exposed. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. Bro, yeah, I mean, at this point, that's something that might have to be considered. Genuinely, at this point, that might have to be considered. But it's just sad. It's just sad, basically. What's happening right now, bro? This is exactly what I've been saying. Exactly what I've been saying. Maresca, the way that Maresca set up tactically, covered a lot of deficiencies in this squad. A lot of deficiencies. And that's why he set up the way he did. He set up the way he did to limit the deficiencies of this squad. As soon as the way that he set up's been abandoned, the full weaknesses are on show. The full weaknesses. Like genuinely, I would take Felipe Luis in the summer. Just run me Felipe Luis. Run me Felipe Luis, and let's go from there. Let's go for vibes, and let's see what happens. But run me Felipe Luis. Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I'm so patient with managers. I'll give them so much time. I don't know what it is about Rafinha. I can't stand him personally. I really don't know what it is, but he just irritates me. He's just doing too much. He's just doing too much at the end of the day. No, we don't. We don't. No, I don't think we'd be that bad. I mean, never say never, but I personally don't think we'd be that bad. Chat, we're on 155 likes, still 200 in the building. Run the likes up. Get this up to 200 likes ASAP, people. Smash that like button. Keep subscribing if you're new as well. Keep subscribing if you're new, chat. That would be greatly appreciated. That would be greatly appreciated. Xabi Alonso, Xabi Alonso wouldn't come to Chelsea. I think it's pretty obvious that Xabi Alonso will be at Liverpool next season. I think that's pretty clear. But yeah, it's just one of those, chat. It's one of those where you're not even angry about it anymore. You're just disappointed, and you're kind of just numb to it all. You're just numb to it all. Because we're at a point now where this lot aren't changing anything. And so the only way that might enforce change is if we get embarrassed on a weekly basis and don't qualify for Champions League and get knocked out of competitions. Maybe that's the only. Maybe that's the way that we do it. Maybe that's the way that this lot might wake up and realize we need to alter what we're doing. Maybe that's what it takes. That's why, as much as I hated it, if that humiliation last night leads to something more meaningful, then it was necessary. But I think we all know that it probably isn't going to lead to anything meaningful. It probably isn't going to lead to anything meaningful. The culture needs to be completely reset because that winning culture, that ruthless culture is gone. And it's been replaced by a culture of mediocre, a culture of average, a culture of no accountability, a culture of no responsibility. So, yeah. But you just look at the squad and the quality of the players, and it's just woeful. It's just so bad, chat. It's just so bad. It's so bad. No, because I don't have one. So there we go. I don't have one. So I won't be renewing because I haven't got one. So there we are. That is the simple answer to that. No, I don't care if we get Champions League football or not. But we do need to sort of care because otherwise things are going to get even worse and these players are going to want out. No, I'm not. I'm a member. I've got a decent amount of points, and obviously I know a lot of people as well, so I'm able to get to pretty much the vast majority of the games, no problem. So yeah, that's where we're at on that. Bro, if Burnley had full control, I'm not saying we'd be unbelievable, but things would be a lot better than what they are right now. Things would be significantly better than what they are now. I think that's what we have to be very honest with here. Things would definitely be better. To be honest, even if we do get Champions League, I think there'll be a number of players that want out, personally. I think there'll be a number of players that want out. But yeah, it's a worrying thing where actually I look at it and you sort of think, right, okay, yeah, there's about 6 or 7 players in that squad that I genuinely keep. And the rest of it can just completely go. That's really worrying, really alarming. That we've got so few players that actually want to be that would actually keep. They're actually good enough to be here. That is mental. It is absolutely mental, that. And this is a genuinely like £1.5 billion squad. And it's just the arrogance of these guys that they continue to insist that everything's going to plan. This is years and years of mismanagement. The inability, chat, to execute the basics. Inability to execute the basics. This has been a gradual decline. Gradual decline. I'm genuinely at the point where I actually don't know what would need to happen for this lot to have a reality check. I genuinely don't think there'll be anything that meant to have reality check. But the worst thing is that whilst we're in free fall, Arsenal, our biggest rivals, are just going to are probably looking like they're going to pick up a few trophies. To make things even worse. I mean, this summer is going to be very, very interesting. I think this summer's going to be very, very telling. Very telling. In regards to what might happen. Yeah, look, I don't know when it's happening. Something needs to be done, but it's just got to be organised so much better. It's got to be organised so much better because the other one, despite the intentions, probably did more damage than actual good. So, yeah, look, we need to make sure that it's better organised and all that sort of thing. But things have got to be done. Something's got to be done. No, nothing's going to... Look, I think it's obvious nothing will change in the summer. If things change in the summer and we're serious, then fair enough, we can have a reappraisal next season. But right now, there is literally zero evidence to suggest that anything's going to change. If things were going to change, they would have changed by now. Surely. If something was going to change, it would have changed by now. It would have changed by now. It's embarrassing that we've got that Club World Champions badge on our chest. Delighted that we've won it, but to be wearing that Club World Champions badge, doing what we're doing, likely to not be in the Champions League next season, wearing that World Champions badge, potentially in the Europa League. Boy, it's dark. It's dark. But I don't know what the solutions are, but something's got to be done, but it needs to be organised and people need to actually do it. There's no point just a few people doing it. There's got to be something organised through the proper channels. You need the supporter groups on side. You know, you need them doing it. And that's what you need. And obviously, like any fan, I'll be backing whatever action is taken. I'll be backing. I will absolutely be backing whatever action's taken, and I will be there to take part in whatever situation. Yeah, bro, we've got the Club World Cup badge for the next 4 years. So they absolutely will, yes. They absolutely will. But yeah. It's not good, chap. It's not good at all. Really not good. To be honest, I think that the beginning of the end chat was those Burnley and Leeds draws. Those 4 dropped points have done serious damage because you add 4 points to our total, where we sit 4th in the league. We sit 4th in the league. If you add those 4 points to our total, that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. That's where we're fucked. Big up to you, bro. Appreciate the donation. If anyone's just in Burnley takes over, he's just as bad. I don't know what's happening with the vivid seats and all that. But Bowley is miles better than Egg Barley. At the end of the day, this is an Egg Barley and Clear Lake situation. Bowley is not involved on a very high level whatsoever. Which one? Well, this one. The beginning of the end was the first summer under Clear Lake. No, I don't think so. I don't think that was. I think for me, it was the first. It was the summer we got Enzo Maresca. That window was atrocious, and then we followed it up with another awful window, despite him achieving all of his targets. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at, guys. Chat, we're 30 likes away. We're 30 likes away from 200 likes. Bro, Bowley, like, this is what Bowley's not involved in a day-to-day running. He has got a very, very back seat. It's all run by Egg Barley and the sporting directors. Bowley has next to no input. Yeah, he'll sign off on stuff because he has to, but actual day-to-day decision-making, Bowley is barely involved. Barely involved, and hasn't been for years. So there we are. Yep, and this ownership have ruined the football club, and they will continue to ruin this football club until they change the way that they operate. But they don't seem to want to do that. But every fan has got to push or pull or whatever in the same direction and get behind this Blueco out cause, because we've got to get these guys out. We've got to get these guys out. It really is as simple as that, chap. These lot have got to be got out. I mean, whether you can put all your differences aside and all that stuff, we have got to get these guys out. We've got to get these guys out, chat. Whatever we can possibly manage. Thing is, you have to have achievable goals. Getting no one to go to games is not a realistic target. That's not a realistic target. Getting no one to go to games, because if a load of us don't buy tickets, someone else will buy those tickets. That's the reality of the situation. So you have to come up with alternative things that are going to make a difference. No, nothing about players leaking a lineup. No, I haven't seen anything about that. So yeah, we've all got to pull in the same direction, chat. We've all got to pull in the same direction. That's it. No, yeah. Well, I don't. To be honest, don't blame them. You know, when you're 2 goals down in 14 minutes and you're 7-2 down in aggregate, what's the point? What's the point? What is the point at the end of the day? You know, what's the point? There is no point. Yeah, the way the club's run has to change because they continue doing what they're doing. Things are just going to get worse and worse and worse, guys. That's the reality. But anyway, let's have a look if there's anything else that's come through, and then we will round this one out. Let's have a quick look. Doesn't look like it. No serious manager does want to work under this ownership. No serious manager does want to work under this ownership. We know that. We are fully aware of that. Yeah. Right, chat. No, absolutely not. I don't know where people see this stuff, but no, that obviously isn't true. That evidently isn't true. Mate, they'll get that. That'll get overturned by CAS. That'll get overturned by the arbitration for sport, and ultimately, they won the game. They lifted the trophy. They've celebrated with the fans in the stadium and in Senegal. They've got their medals. They've got the cup. Who cares? That'll get overturned. I'm convinced that'll get overturned. But yeah. Anyway, chat. We're going to round this one out here. Big up to everybody who has locked in. Make sure you smash the subscribe button on the way out. Hit the likes as well. We're at 175, 25 more likes required. Please smash a like on the way out. Get this up to 200 likes. As I said, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, people. Appreciate all of you. Please enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow with more content. Make sure you stay tuned in for that. And yeah, let's hope that things will that things get better. But I have a feeling things will get worse before they get better. No, it's not. It's Neymar. Why would I have a David Washington top? No, it's Neymar. 11-12 Santos. Baller. But anyway, smash the like, subscribe if you're new. Big love for all the support on the stream. Big love for the donations as well, people. I appreciate it. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll catch you lot again soon. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Blueco out. Love.